If AI takes off the way that I think both of us think it will, it's going to create this world of abundance, correct? Like productivity is going to go through the roof. Everything's going to get very, very cheap. How does a world of absolute abundance work with Bitcoin and absolute scarcity?
Yeah, good question. I mean, abundance if the AI isn't centralized. If we have control or sovereignty over AI, and I haven't followed the news closely, but overnight, woke up very early here in Australia, but the announcement from NVIDIA about what they're trying to do on the open source front is encouraging. I have an AI agent orchestration system. It's been set up through Claude. Clearly, I can't run that long term. And I don't do any of my personal stuff on any of the open source models. What I'm building is on-prem open source modeling for stuff that's sensitive, and then everything else. Okay, fine. We can use the open source models, and there's lots of solutions now that allow you to toggle between. So really, what the important thing is your architecture. You know this role. So provided that is the world we come into, that AI becomes pretty much commoditized, that the hardware is efficient enough to run really good models, and you can keep it on-prem, and all the decentralized solutions around that start to evolve, because at the moment it's been so focused on the frontier model companies and basically outsourcing everything to them, that we haven't seen that side of it really blossom. So I'm very much in the abundance camp if we get the mix between centralized and decentralized AI right, and that countries don't become just vassals of the United States or China in developing their own sovereignty in AI. So building up the compute, building up the inference, and everything onshore is going to be important. But how do you square it away? Like if it starts to really eat away at the sort of terminal value of a lot of companies, then Bitcoin doesn't seem silly in that world to traditional investors. The only thing, this is a contentious issue, Rob, but on the quantum side, the main problem, the two main problems I have with Bitcoin right now, that I'm just a very small node in a huge network, so I'm relying on the community and the network to solve these issues, which I think ultimately it will, but they are pressing, is staying ahead of what's happening on the quantum side. Ignoring it is bananas to me. You have to get in front of this. Even if the timelines are skewed towards the more optimistic end, I actually think that by 2030, 2031 seems about right. And for Bitcoin and a decentralized network to implement the changes that need to take place, they have to start doing it now. They have to start moving forward now. And then on the usage side, so basically, ETFs have taken a lot of the usage off chain. I think we have to make the network more useful so that miner revenues are attractive for the security, to maintain security of the network. Provided those things are addressed, they're really the only things that I sort of highlight. Then the whole thesis around Bitcoin going into a world of abundance is so freaking obvious. Right? It's so clear that if your business, your terminal value, your moat could be potentially disrupted, then the idea of this asset being a part of the asset allocation is no longer really all that confusing or bewildering. And I think most of the world actually gets that now. It's just a question of the position size, the allocation that's required to get exposure to the asset, and also signs that the network is addressing the main issues, which at least that's the way I see it.
Let's dive in on that. I know you did an interview with Charles Edwards, and he's been banging the pot about quantum being a really big deal that we need to be addressing now. You talk to a lot of investors. Do they actually put weight into the quantum threat? Are they scared away of Bitcoin because of quantum right now in 2026?
The answer is yes. And it's more important to them than it is to me. But because of that, it's affecting sort of my view as well. Now, you could just call these uninformed views, but irrespective. Like the rest of it, like the other blockchain networks are integrating post quantum cryptography solutions, and they'll probably, this varies from this year to 2028 in terms of implementation. Now, Bitcoin's got a unique problem. Post quantum cryptography, I think that's the least of our worries. It's really what to do about the Satoshi coins and how to address that bounty that's there. But the point being is that I've just noticed that last year it was laughable, and the people who said it was FUD are now saying, sure, it's going to happen, but now it's going to happen in like 10 years' time. So it went from it's never going to happen, stop talking about it, to, oh yeah, now it's going to happen, it's going to be in 10 years' time. Like everything's compressing. I think the most important thing is to stay ahead of it and to start talking about it. Now we've got BIP 361, which is hugely contentious, Rob, and I'm not sure what your view on it is. I'm not sure even if I have a significant view, but what I'm positive on is the fact that there is now a BIP that's actually looking to address that issue. Now wait for the other ones to be proposed and let the network start to hash it out, so to speak, and come to a solution on it. But the way this network moves is obviously slow by design, and that's a feature. But at the same time, this is something that will need to get addressed within the next, let's call it 4 to 5 years, and that's really the timeline it takes to get anything done in Bitcoin. So I want that discussion, that open debate, to take place in 2026, and by the end of it, we come to some sort of resolution on it. But like the institutional investors are talking about it. So if Bitcoin cares about, effectively what others think, which some people say that's stupid, we should never deviate from the core, but like that is the reality of the situation. So it is affecting people's investment decision. It is affecting asset allocators' decisions. It is affecting sovereign wealth investment flows as well.
Interesting. And where do you fall in the debate about Satoshi's coins? Should we let them stay there and be open to be stolen to a potential quantum actor, or should we freeze them as a community and say that those are sacred and should not be touched and we should move on without them?
Hugely contentious, obviously, because it's existential to the whole Bitcoin philosophy and thesis, right? Look, I don't want to sit on the fence here, but I'm still trying to really make up my mind, because I want to see what alternative proposals there are. Like I don't want BIP 361 to be the only one. Like I want to see what others actually put forward as a solution here. And my view is probably a period. If I had to sort of I'm sort of leaning towards a sunsetting period where there is time for those coins to be unlocked and used before sort of locking or freezing them. But I'm open to suggestions about it. Like ultimately, it's going to be the community's consensus vote. But that's how I'm viewing it. More likely that we need to do something about transitioning them to a state where they can't be hacked, but doing it over a very intentional and methodical sort of process. But again, like I'm waiting to see other proposals on that. What's your thoughts? Like where do you come down on this?
I think Bitcoin's philosophy and fundamental property rights are that if you can move the keys, they're yours, right? If you can move the coins, like if you have the keys, they're yours. So if we are going to go out there and start freezing other people's Bitcoin because we think it might be too old, that it hasn't moved in so long, you don't know what the situation is there, right? And it changes the fundamental agreement that we all have as a network participant, that if you can move it, it's yours. So, and right now, there are over 30% that are quote unquote vulnerable to quantum in terms of the whole entire Bitcoin network out there. But if it's just Satoshi's coins at the end of the day, they're the only ones that haven't moved to quantum protected addresses, then what? It's 5% of all Bitcoin. And yeah, it could cause the price to go down a little bit, but Bitcoin can recover from that. And so I think it's very important that we maintain the property rights of Bitcoin. And who knows, right? We do need to be having these discussions because it is true that all these governments around the world are moving up the Q-Day date much sooner than we thought. And they are saying that you need to have post-quantum cryptography by the end of the 2020s or you are at major risk. So let's have these conversations. I think we've been distracted as a community by some other BIPs that aren't as fundamental to the future of Bitcoin. But we'll see. I mean, hopefully, I mean, it's all about narratives, right? And right now there's a lot of infighting, and we definitely need to come together in many ways to address this problem. So it's going to take some change in just attitudes amongst the community to do it.
Yeah, look, I really respect that position, and there is a risk that we do something that will ultimately undermine the principles of the network and what makes the network or the asset makes it so powerful. There's a world where we do have good actors on the quantum computing front where a breakthrough is made, and it's it doesn't necessarily have to be a Chinese state actor that gets it and then tries to destroy the network by dumping all these coins as well. So there is a world where we have good actors on the US side that actually develop the breakthroughs and then through consultation or whatever, advise the network on what's to do. Who knows? But I love the fact that we're having this debate because last year it was impossible to have, which is a reflection of, I think, the changing attitudes here to the realization that quantum is a real threat.
And I want to talk about, in closing with you, where we are for Bitcoin long term. If we address these problems, what is the future of Bitcoin? Do you see it as the world reserve currency of the future?
I see it as one of them. Like, I think gold is just being remonetized as the global reserve asset. And I think Bitcoin will move up alongside it. Is the world going to be more digital in the future? Yes. Do we need a digital reserve currency asset? Absolutely. For those that may not have believed that 5 years ago, I think they're coming around to that understanding now. So it's not as controversial as it used to be. So I do think that it's going to be integrated into, a lot of, not all, but a lot of countries' sovereign reserve positions. And if we were to have said that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, it would have seemed far-fetched. But now with sovereign wealth funds actually investing in Bitcoin companies, onshore Bitcoin mining operations, we have validation that is actually the trend. So I think it just continues up and to the right over time.
Let's go. Yeah, I think Bitcoin has a bright future. It's during these bear markets that we need to keep that vision alive. There's a lot of distractions and shiny objects out there that will take you away because Bitcoin is so much more than just a financial asset. It could really be the beginnings of something new, a new way of finance, of building on top of civilization. So let's try to keep that vision alive. All right, Jamie, please tell us, what are you building and where can we find it?
You can find, well, firstly, Rob, I mean, in terms of keeping the vision alive, so congratulations on the success of the channel over the last couple of years and for everything that you guys have been doing. It's, just one important node in a very large decentralized network. So congratulations. Twitter, X, Jamie1Coutts is where you'll find me. I'm at Real Vision, so part of a team of macro and crypto strategists. Like, I spend a lot of time looking at Bitcoin, but also just at all the other crypto ecosystem technologies as well. The thing that I just find fascinating about the space, putting aside the last couple of years of shenanigans and whatnot, is that the underlying technology is being used, and it's the new financial substrate for the world we're moving into. So block space is like compute. And that is going to be it's going to be commoditized and used, and we're about to experience a massive step change. So I do a lot of, research on the adoption and tokenization and where AI agents are sort of going in terms of crypto usage. That's all at Real Vision. So you can check me out there. Otherwise, I'm on Twitter every once in a while. I don't spend as much time there anymore, but it's still my go-to place for news feeds and for, infrequent posting.
Wait, you're telling me I can win free Bitcoin every day just by dropping a chip? Check out Sats Drop from Rhino. You get 3 free drops every day with chances to win up to 10,000 sats instantly. And if a super drop activates, we're talking bonus drops, multipliers, and jackpots of up to 100,000 sats redeemed right in your Rhino wallet. Sign up for free now and start stacking sats.